Hi all, Pastor Paul Waldmiller here. I pray that your life is a good one and you're seeing the Lord effectively doing some really good and wonderful things for you. Today I'd like to discuss with you regarding licensed ministers, licensed pastors, and how Christian licensed ministers / pastors should be turning in their government-issued licenses. Now, to understand why, we need to take first a look at a few things that are going on around in our world. If you've been paying attention to the news media, I'm looking at my wife right now. She's busy. She's home today. If you're looking at the news, you notice in the state of Iowa, pastors are being forced and told that they should not and cannot be preaching from the Bible, especially in regards to things such as saying that homosexuality is a sin. So, those that are under government authority are in trouble. Now you say, Pastor Paul, you must be talking about those churches that have 501c3 tax-exempt charities. No, I'm not. Although that may be a hindrance for some pastors, some churches to effectively share their views about and in regards to sin. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm going to talk to you about today is about our lives under the government authority in relation to licenses that go to pastors and Christian pastors and ministers. Now, some of you are already aware of what I'm going to say. Some of you, or most of you, probably not. Now, when you were born, or there soon after, your parents signed a birth certificate, a piece of paper with mom and or dad's signature saying that this is your name, you were born to such and such a person, and you were registered with the state in which you live. Now, innocently, most Americans, my parents did it, your parents probably did it, signed the hospital forms and all that registration paperwork went into the state and everything was cool, right? Wrong. Well, what our parents did when they signed that paper with our name on it and their name to it, they registered with us to the government. We became property of the government. And so it began a series of other licenses, so we thought that the government owned us more and more. Soon after, we probably got a Social Security number, which we thought, great, goes towards my retirement. Well, that's partially true, but then again, we became part of another licensing agency that, yes, the government owns us. Then we got a driver's license. Oh boy, we signed our name that we abode by all the regulations thereof for driving. We got ourselves in trouble because we signed our life away when we've done that to ourselves. We became willingly available to statutes and things that courts considered lawful, which are not, under the guise of traffic laws. Now, in case you were not aware, it is unlawful to prevent anyone from traveling. And when we sign our life away to get a driver's license, meaning that we cannot drive anywhere without that license, we'll get in trouble. We signed our life to a place where we can be put in jail, we can be fined, lots of things can happen to us, and there's not much we can do about it because we agreed to that contract with the state saying if we're going to drive an automobile, we have to abide by the state's rules and regulations. So I hope you kind of understand, in a gist, I suppose, rather quickly, what really happens when we sign our life over to the government with our signature. We agree in a contract to say that, yeah, whatever the state says, that's what we're going to do. Well, it's the same thing with getting a license from a state for Christian ministers and or pastors. It's the same thing. When you get a state license, say to be a minister, to license or to marry someone or marry a couple, you agree to the terms and conditions that the government puts upon you. So if you have a license and you're a minister and the state says, well, okay, you can marry people, but we want you to now marry homosexuals or people with animals, or have an adult marry a child who's a pedophile, you have to do it. You agree to the terms and conditions that the state, i.e. the government, put upon you. You have no choice. You don't get to make up your mind. You must do it. And my friends, this is what's occurring now. Those that have been, of my friends of late, a few of them have been saying, I'm going to go for my license to become a minister. And I tell them, no, don't do it. And I tell them why, which is basically what I'm telling you now. The state, i.e. the government, can tell you who and what to marry and when to marry. If they come to you and say you can no longer preach about homosexuality and you have to marry homosexuals, and you follow the Bible, which that's what the Bible says, not to marry homosexuals or not to be involved with sin, and you say, no, I'm not going to do it, you may very well go to jail. And your defense in their courts, what will your defense be? I follow Jesus, that's what you'll say? I follow the Bible, I follow God? No, that doesn't work in court. Believe me, I tried. I was told in 2009 by Tracy Bannister, a judge originally from Erie County, to sit in on my case. She told me, Reverend Waldmiller, you are no longer being allowed to be with your children because of your biblical Christian beliefs. Did I have any recourse? No, none. Would the FBI help me? Justice Department, state, federal, local agencies help me? No, not a peep, not a help. Not from, at the time, New York State Attorney General Cuomo. He wouldn't help me. Today, Eric Schneiderman help me? No. No one is going to help you. You may get some help from Jay Sekulow, I don't know, in his group, or maybe some other Christian groups. Maybe, I don't know. They didn't help me. Sekulow didn't help me. None of the Christian lawyers would help me. And there's going to be so many cases of licensed Christian ministers and pastors in this country that, guess what? These so-called law firms, Christian law firms, are not going to be able to help everybody. They can't do it. And believe me when I say they're going to be really picky and choosy in who they choose to represent. You may not be one of the fortunate few that gets to be represented. I wasn't, even though I had a death threat from a City of Batavia, New York police officer. They wouldn't help me. They knew I was a Christian minister, but still wouldn't help me. It's the way it is in this country. Even quote-unquote Christian lawyers work for money. They don't do it for free. They do it for money. They also have multi-million-dollar houses and mortgages that they have to pay for. That's the way it is. So here's the bottom line. If you're a Christian and your pastor is a licensed minister, you need to go to him ASAP and tell him, look, you need to dump that license. Turn it in, give it back, get out of the government business of licensing ministers. And if you're a minister and you know exactly what's going on, maybe you've heard my voice or my video today, maybe you're one of your church attendees said, hey, look at this guy, Paul Waldmiller, Pastor Paul, on YouTube video. Don't you think we should, or you should dump your license? And you say, no, it'll be okay. We'll just trust God. And the cops come and the courts arrest you. You're on your own, pal. You're completely on your own. And believe me, I know what it's like to be all on your own. I had to stand in court because there were no Christians around that would support me. They were all too afraid, hiding behind the pews, pastors cowering behind the pulpits as I had my life torn apart, all because of my biblical Christian beliefs. we're on our own. So word to the wise for all those Christian pastors, Christian ministers out there, dump your license, dump your state government license now. I hope that helps. God bless y'all.